Lonesome for all of you. So I'm grateful that you're all here. We have two honors to give away. One would be to do the Shabbat candles, and one would be to do the blessing before and after the reading of Torah. Is there anybody who would be interested in doing an honor? Beautiful, Devorah. And you, okay. Beth Ann also raised her hand, so she could do it maybe with you. That would be lovely. But first, we have a nigun and a lovely poem that I found from Alden Salvi, who, thanks to Reuben Louie, may he rest in peace, is sort of he's like our resident poet, even though he doesn't live here. I had the honor of meeting him at a biennial, and he's just a love of a human being and writes beautiful poetry. This is called Wildly Unimaginable Blessings. Let us dream wildly unimaginable blessings, blessings so unexpected, blessings so beyond our hopes for this world, blessings so unbelievable in this era that their very existence uplifts our vision of creation, our relationship to each other, and our yearning for life itself. Let us dream wildly unimaginable blessings, a complete healing of mind, body, and spirit, a complete healing for all, the end of suffering and strife, the end of plague and disease, when kindness flows from the river of love, when goodness flows from the river of grace, awakened in the spirit of all beings, when God's light, radiating holiness, is seen by everyone. Let us pray with all our hearts for wildly unimaginable blessings, so that God will hear the call to open the gates of the garden, seeing that we haven't waited, that we are already begun to repair the world in testimony to our faith in life, our faith in each other, our faith in the holy name. Blessed be God's name. Page 121. I'd like to invite forward Beth Ann and Lori and David to kindle our Shabbat blessings. Beth Ann, can I hear?
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As our brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. O source of life and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
I invite you to rise physically or spiritually as we celebrate this holiness and sanctity of Shabbat with the Kiddush. Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu aharta ve'otanu kidashta mikamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch ata Adonai mekadesh hashavat l'chaim. You may be seated. Join me on page 124 as we read together at the bottom. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. On page 140, Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir liyom HaShabbat, Tov להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיב הבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי אסור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך ארנן. מה גלוי מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. צדיק כתמר יפרח יפרח, צדיק כתמר יפרח, צדיק כתמר יפרח יפרח, צדיק כתמר יפרח. כארז בלבנון יזכה, כארז בלבנון יזכה, כארז בלבנון יזכה יזכה. כארז בלבנון יזכה, כארז בלבנון יזכה, כארז בלבנון יזכה יזכה. Page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet. Malachi, Malachi Elyon. Malachi, Malachi Elyon. Malachi, Malachi, Elyon, Malachi, Elyon. Mi melech malachi hamlachim, mi melech malachi hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, B'chem, B'chem, L'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, B'chem, B'chem, L'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi HaSharet. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi HaSharet. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi HaSharet. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi HaSharet. More on that little nagun. Next week, we're going to keep adding to it. But it's pretty kitschy, isn't it? A little different, for sure. On page 144. Yitkada Shemei Rava, Al ma divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kariv v'yimeru. Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba mevarach, le'alom le'almei amaya, yidbarach, yirarach v'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar v'yiromam, v'yitnaseh v'tadar v'taleh v'talal, shmei d'kudusha brihu, le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nachamata, damiran me'alma v'imru. We rise on page 146. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. We read together on page 148 in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mashane itim umachalif et hazmanim umesader et hakochavim b'mishmeroteim barakia kirtzono boroi yom v'layla golel or mepnei choshech v'choshech mepnei or uma'avir yom umevin layla umavdil ben yom uven layla Adonai tsevaot shemo El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. Page 151, we read together at the top. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Haba. You may be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'vetecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbeha uv'kumeha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben enecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem ve'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. From Karen Gadar, bearing witness. Every day that we are gifted with another moment of life, we are offered an invitation to awaken the spirit to the grandeur and reality of love. We are summoned to bear witness to the beauty and the miracle of everyday living. To bear witness is the crucial step toward becoming fully human. And as we stand on the shore of Freedom's Sea, we take just one more step towards a truth that we wish to make for all people. Page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fele, nora tehilot osei fele, malhutecha uvenecha b'kei ayam, livnei Moshe zeli anu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. ונאמר כפתה אדוני את יעקב וגילו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל. Would you read with me, please, on page 161? Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. I invite you to rise on page 164 for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips and my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaHakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neiam, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol Atah Rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach umorir hagashem. Mechakel chayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol b'rachamim rabim. Somach noflim ve'rofer holim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishnei afar. Michamach ba'al givrot, Umido melach, Melech memit umchayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadosh shimo yom yalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakadosh. I invite you to take a walk through the prayer book if you wish, and we'll end together being seated when we get to page 180, or you might just wish to examine that which is in your heart. Israel Amha Si Leolam Shalom Raha Al Israel Amha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Shalom, ki ata hu melech Adon, lecho shalom, shalom rav al Yisrael tasim leolam. Shalom al Yisrael Amha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Seder Kriyat Torah Shabbat. The order for the reading of Torah on Shabbat is found on page 364. 364. We invite you to rise physically or spiritually. Se'u sha'arim ra'asheichem ve'inasu etachem olam ve'yavo melech ha'avon mi'zelech ha'kavod Adonai Tzevaot hu melech ha'avon Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonai Kadosh Shemo You may be seated. So many things up here, so much stuff. Devorah, I'm so glad you are here because you're going to bear witness to something. So, and because I know you're going to know the answer, I am going to ask you what you find weird about the beginning of this Torah portion.
Okay.
This is the very beginning of the Torah portion. What usually happens? How do you usually find a Torah portion? What do you get usually?
You look for Vayedaber Adonai almost.
A lot of times, but
We're not to Moses yet.
No, we're not there yet. What I was going to say is there's usually a space which separates a Torah portion from the end of another. And it's usually at least 9 characters. Not this Torah portion. This Torah portion is a closed Torah portion, which means you gotta look like crazy to find it, because it's literally in the middle of a paragraph, which is not at all normal. So the rabbis had a field day with this. Why would a Torah portion be a closed Torah portion? And there's lots of different speculation, as you can imagine. One thing that comes to mind, they said, was that it was closing the hearts of Israel because, as this is the last Torah portion in the book of Genesis, what's about to come? Exodus, slavery. And so it was a protective covering over the heart.
And God forgets.
Right? Well, yeah, I mean, there's that, right? So that is true. That is a big oops. If you would like to follow along with me, page 296, 296. All right. Now that I found my spot, the blessing before, please.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Just roll this open a little bit. Okay, perfect. I lost my spot. Okay. Amen. Vayehi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim, and Jacob, as he's going to be called Jacob and Israel. It's going to go back and forth in this particular Torah portion. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt, Sheva v'esrei shana, 17 years. Vayehi yemei Yaakov shnei chayav, Sheva shanim v'arba'im u'me'ah shana. And the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 7 years and 40 years and 100 years, 147, which is not a bad run. V'yikrevu yemei Yisrael lamut. And when the days of Yisrael, that's his other name, the days of Israel, life was drawing near, when the day he was going to die was coming close, V'yikra livano liyosef, he calls out for his son Joseph, Vayomer, and he says, lo, to him, Imna matzati chen be'enecha, if I found favor in your sight, simna yidcha tachat yirichi, place your hand underneath my thigh. And that sounds weird, I know, but that is how one swore out an oath in biblical times, if you ever wanted to know. Vasiti madi chesed ve'emet, that you should bestow upon me mercy and truth, but really what this means is everlasting love. Al natik ribeni b'mitzrayim, don't bury me in Egypt. V'shachanti im avotai, when I lay down with my ancestors. Unsatani mimitzrayim, take me out of Egypt. Ugbartani bikvurotam, and bury me in their burial place. Vayomer anochi e'eseh kevodecha. And he said, Joseph said, that I will make for you all the glory, which really means I'm going to do what you say. Vayomer, he shavali, and he says, and this is Jacob, swear it to me. Vishavalo, and he swore to him. Vishtachavu Yisrael al rosh hamita. Vishtachu, Yisrael al rosh hamita. And Israel bowed himself to the very front of his bed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Thank you, sweetheart. Really appreciate it. That's good. You didn't sing. And our thoughts now turn to those who are in need of Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf. They are being thought of by us all. And we list the following: Aviva Aliza, Jody Ashenhertz, John Archer, David Burchett, Avraham Ben Bluma, Jeremy Knigula, Amanda Clemens, George Dean, Stephen Engelman, Craig Friedman, Aslin Garb, Marcy Gelber, Phyllis Goldblatt, Don Grandolfo, Nancy Hagen Goldstucker, Ellen Hyman, my goodness, Carl Kalben, Jeffrey Krause, Joseph Kreplick, Molly Levine, Sherry LaCour, Miriam Lyon, Gerald Marks, Deborah Miller, Eileen McNichols, Sharon Montesi Garskov, Irene Nopar-Stack, Lois Pavlon, Alan Sager, Casey Siengo, Fred Skier, Kristen Rouse-Skinner, Tali Stein, Levana Orabat Svetlana, Cameron Michael Taft, Eddie Tucker, Avraham Ben Sivia, Edith Vasevsky, Sally Waitley, Yosef Raphael Ben Yehudit, Harvey, and Virginia Bowler. And we're going to make a beautiful noise by calling forth a name that is in your heart. Excuse me, sweetie. Please join me in singing. Page 371. Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Page 374, would you please rise? In my almost 30 years of service to Emanuel, it has been my privilege to be by your side in moments of pure exultation and of profound sadness. Celebration comes easy. Enjoying moments of simcha are what make life so precious. But it is the moments of challenge that are the most revealing. Not just because of the way we mourn, but for those rituals surrounding the burial which provide comfort so that we might move forward from loss. Many of the Jewish mourning customs we employ are not just to bring kavod or honor to our dead, but that of chesed shel emet, true everlasting kindness. Chesed shel emet refers to the treatment of someone who's died, but unlike kavod or honor, it is a mitzvah without the expectation that a favor will be returned. This week is the last portion in Genesis, and with it we read about the death of Jacob and then eventually the death of Joseph. This portion raises several end-of-life questions, including the importance of blessing one's children and leaving a spiritual inheritance. But it is the introduction of Chesed Shel Emet I'm interested in examining. Post-biblically, the phrase is used to refer to a Chevra Kadisha, or Jewish burial society. These are Jews who voluntarily take on the task of preparing the dead for burial. Traditionally, men prepare men and women prepare women. The members of the Chevra Kadisha carefully wash the body, called tahara, saying prayers and asking forgiveness from the deceased in the event that they do something incorrectly. Water is then poured over the entire body. Then they dress the body in a simple white shroud with no pockets, as we can't take anything with us. The body is then put in a simple wooden casket, which is never left alone until the moment of burial. It is a loving act, simply done, in which the favor will never, ever be returned. The idea of doing good for others with no chance of reciprocity raises some fascinating questions. Most of us believe in doing good deeds for others, but underneath there is the hope that our good deed will come back to us to bless us. There's nothing wrong with that. For example, it's wonderful that businesses support charitable causes, but it's clear that such support is good for business. Bringing food to a family in mourning is a wonderful deed, but we know that when we are in mourning, someone will bring food for us. What goes around comes around. Many times there is a tacit understanding that one good deed will be returned when the time comes. However, in the words of philosopher Emanuel Kant, performing an act and hoping for some positive consequences is not truly an ethical act. And that's a powerful statement. Chesed Shel Emet is a virtue of those who give charity secretly, where the recipient does not know the donor and the donor does not know the recipient. Maimonides called this one of the highest levels of charity. Rabbi Michael Gold tells this Hasidic tale. It speaks of a wealthy man in town who never gave to any of the town's charities. He was known to be very tight and miserly, and people called him the miser. When he died, nobody mourned very much. Then poor families started to come to the rabbi. Every Friday, someone would leave us food for Shabbat, but it stopped. Every month, someone left clothing for my children, but it stopped. All winter, someone would leave us chopped wood for the fireplace, but it stopped. The rabbi realized all the man had been giving to the poor in secret. On his gravestone, it was written, "The Holy Miser." For those who have had the honor for those of us who have had the honor of accompanying a body to a gravesite and lovingly placing earth on the casket, you have engaged in the mitzvah of Chesed Shel Emet. However, even when it isn't the intent of the action, mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One mitzvah follows another. Rabbi Ilana Kirshen shares a story which happened, which appears, I beg your pardon, in the Jewish Weekly. It appeared in 2012. In the essay, Dr. Devorah Steinmetz explores her experience as a kidney donor. Steinmetz relates that after she donated her kidney to a young Israeli dental student, his grateful and effusive mother kept trying to shower her in gifts. Steinmetz insisted that she would not accept anything, but the woman persisted. So Steinmetz shared with her a lesson about loving kindness. When someone does chesed for you, you want to find a way to pay them back, to reciprocate the chesed they have done. But in most cases, you can't ever do that. Yet there is a way you can pay them back, and that is by doing chesed for someone else. Loving kindness, Steinmetz teaches, is about paying it forward. Sometime later, the mother shared with Steinmetz that her son had decided when he became a dentist, he intended to set one day each month in her name to treat people who could not afford to pay. The mother was unable to return the favor, but for Steinmetz, it was clear that the reward had come nonetheless. I don't know whether he will exactly do that, writes Steinmetz, but I did feel in the most powerful way that this young man and his parents were now recipients of the Torah that I had learned, the Torah of Chesed, and that my own acts will generate more of Chesed in the world. Let us be conscious in the coming year of how we might do good for goodness' sake and change the world by selfless acts. So I am taught from this week's Torah portion. I invite you to join me on page 586 at the bottom of the page. If you would, please rise. Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כהמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad. You may be seated. Page 598. But first, this prayer from Rabbi Karen Kadar. Hold me in prayer. My heart is broken. The weight of it all bears down upon me. I am bent over, crumbling and diminished. And through my tears, my confusion, I have a thought, a glimmer, or maybe an invitation from the invisible one. If my heart is already broken, cracked open, why not spend some time looking inside? And so I offer this prayer. This most difficult and vulnerable moment, this moment of sorrow and pain and uncertainty, has opened my heart. For the healing, help me linger, exposed, aware, unafraid, willing to understand my heart, my soul, my fears, my brokenness, my depth, myself. Expansive God, hold me. Hear my prayer. We honor the following yahrzeit, those who have been taken from our sight but never leave our heart. Max Blatt, Arthur Bookband, Eileen Birdman, Hyman Charnas, James L. Eisenberg, Joseph Eisenberg, Kate Ephraim, Jerry Fink, Esther Fisher, Leon Gardner, Bertha Goldstein, Irving B. Goldstein, Arthur J. Golub, M. Martin Gordon, Michael Gurevitz, K. Murray Hagan, Leopold Hamburger, Jeffrey Herman, Louis Hirsch, Arthur Kuhnreich, Julius Lessman, Emma Lowy, Hyman Meyer, Louis Menkes, Sarah Ostrer, Anna Plows, Felix Pullman, Arnie Reisman, Eugene Rossenbecker, Dorothy Maramont Saltiel, Sarah Schlessel, Bertha Silverman, Joseph Simons, Nathan Stiglitz, Joseph Teitelbaum, Sidney Washington, Hannah Weil, Hyman Weinberg, and in recent days, Ralph Gorin, Mar Levon, and Sherwin Pakin. Please excuse any of my mispronunciations. Those who are in mourning or have a yahrzeit, would you please rise first? And those whose custom it is, would you please join them? Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomachon, uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizban kariv, v'imru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam u'almei alamaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yipa'ar v'yiromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shemei d'kursha brihu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nehemata, da'miran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom mimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all of you who are bereaved among us, and let us all say, amen. Our closing song is on page 657. 657. It is, if I can pull it up here, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. All right. Next week we get Ruthie back, and it is never too soon. Not too soon at all, as a matter of fact. Let's see if this is too high. Od Yavo. Is that okay? All right. Hoop up there, right there. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Ve'akulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Ve'akulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Ve'akulam. May you be blessed with Shabbat peace, and may this year hold unexpected joy and blessing for you all. Shabbat Shalom.